You're listening to the Social U podcast, sponsored by Social University. Be sure to follow us on our socials listed in the show notes. Now, let's dive in.
I'm Becky Johnson.
And I'm Laura Black.
And you're listening to the Social U podcast. Today, we are talking about something that we hate with a passion, and that is hackers and scammers, and why it's so easy for people to get had by these hackers and scammers.
Oh, it's so frustrating. And it seems like every day there's more and more and more, and it's just surrounding us everywhere you turn, and we're not here for it.
Not at all. If people understood the number of Facebook recoveries that we are asked to do for business pages because they've been hacked, they would be a lot more careful with their passwords.
Yeah, and they're not easy to fix.
No. When we do Facebook recovery, it's very situational. Sometimes they're able to get it back, sometimes they're not. And it doesn't seem to be related to how much actual paperwork we turn in to prove who they are, their business license, their driver's license. Just sometimes they can get it back and sometimes they can't. And it just seems very arbitrary on Facebook. And I know it's probably not, but when you send in all of the stuff and it still doesn't get approved, it seems that way.
It really does. So stinking frustrating. And so my mind automatically goes to, first of all, I am very, very paranoid because I don't want to get hacked. And I'm sure I have weaknesses in what I do. But man, anything you can do to protect yourself. And my number one would be go with your gut. If it looks fishy, it is. Just back off of it. Don't go there.
If you get an email from someone that has an attachment and either you don't recognize who it's from or the words of the email sound really fishy, do not open the attachment. If you see something that is from something like _Amazon.com, Amazon doesn't have that address. They're Amazon.com. If you see something from ChaseBank04.com, that ain't Chase Bank. Do not engage.
Abort. One of the other things that I've seen lately on email, I thought I got an email from my sister-in-law and it had just her name. And you know how a lot of times you have to click on it to get the actual email address? Well, if you don't really do your homework and check that, I mean, it was one of those typical, oh my goodness, look at these old pictures I found. I love the third one. But then you look at her name and actually look at where that, where it's coming from, and it's totally not her. But man, it's convincing. And the people who are gullible are like the older people who don't know what to check. I just worry about them because it's everywhere.
My husband is 48 and he called me over to his computer the other day to ask me if this was something he should open. And the file looked like a text file, like it had a TXT extension on it. But I was like, we don't know who this is from. There's nothing written in the body of the email. Don't open it.
My husband had one just the other day also. And he's like, look at this. This is weird. Well, don't open it. Just let it go.
And all of your passwords for all the different things should not be the same. If somebody gets one of those, I get a notice from somewhere saying one or more of your passwords have been compromised because the place had a compromise, not because I did. Well, if Facebook gets compromised and somebody gets your Facebook password, you don't want them to then also have your Gmail password and your everything password, your bank password, So those should all be different because those people, it doesn't take them long to go in there and do a lot of damage,
right?
Most of the time before you even know you've been hacked, you are going to lose money.
It's too late. Yeah. Yeah. And for the love, change the passwords frequently. And I hate changing my passwords. I hate it, but it's worth every second that you do it.
And I do like, we've talked about this before, I like when it suggests a strong password and then you go in there and then you still change it just like a couple of characters. And then you have the password that looks like a sneeze, but nobody's ever going to guess it.
This is true.
Another thing that I've noticed too is if you get an email and you look at who it's to and it's to laurablack@gmail.com, laurablack24@gmail.com, laura_black@gmail.com. No. They're hitting everybody named Laura Black, and they're just trying to see who's going to bite.
It's true. And I mean, my name probably is pretty common. So just imagine the poor John Smiths that get barraged with everything.
I get a lot of Becky Johnson emails that way because so many people's email is your name, and especially like work emails, Becky Johnson at blah, blah, blah. And they know that is going to be the app, yoursocialyou.com or whatever. So they just start putting your names in. Look, we know, we've listened to the podcast. We know somebody named Caryn works there. So we're going to try Caryn at yoursocialyou.com. We'll probably get a hit.
Right. Also, if your name's spelled wrong, like Caryn has a unique spelling. So if she gets a Karen, that's a red flag right there.
Right. If I get something from a friend and it's to Rebecca, you don't know me.
Nope. Oh,
nobody tells me that. Or for the love, if you are friends with somebody on Facebook and you get a message that says, "Hi, how are you doing?" That is not your friend. Nobody talks like that except scammers. In all of my years, I have never had one of my friends message me and actually say, "Hi, how are you doing?"
Yeah, weird.
Very formal sounding for somebody that would just be your Facebook friend.
Right? And if it's somebody else, they're going to tell you what they want, and you'll either know or you won't know.
And if you only have 5 Facebook friends and you feel lonely and somebody you don't know sends you a friend request, don't accept it. Just keep less friends. If somebody sends you a friend request and they look like some Instagram model and they're talking about how awesome you are, that is not a real person. That's probably some old dude sitting in a basement. Please not accept that. If you're my age, you keep getting the ones that are like Mr. Retired Army Man.
Yes, all the time.
And he's got all these pictures on his yacht, and that's not a real person. And if it was, he seems full of himself, and I wouldn't want to be his friend. So,
yes, I feel that.
Yeah, I'm working out. Here I am on my yacht. Here I am in my dress blues, so I look so good. And it's like, no, you don't. You do not. You're not even real. You're probably AI.
That is so true. That totally happens to me too. And it's so cringy. And you're no.
Is this what I think I'm looking for? Because it is not.
And I would also say, like, if you post somewhere publicly, and I've seen this actually a couple times lately, and it may be an old post that you've posted on, but somebody's come back in, some hacker, scammer, fruitcake is on there, and they were like, "Hey, I'm sorry, but I don't have any friends, and I notice you, and I hope I'm not offending you," and all that junk. It's don't engage. Don't engage.
I hate that. They'll literally, if I leave a review for a business, a restaurant or something, some fake bot always replies, "I'm sorry, but I couldn't help but respond to your comment. Your profile just looks like you are so sweet and beautiful. And I would love for you to send me a friend request." Why would I do that?
Exactly. And you know what? Both of those were on reviews on public accounts. And one was to me personally, and one was on an account we manage. And people are looking for any little way in to take advantage of somebody.
Right. And you look at that and you think nobody would fall for that. Your grandma is falling for that. Please go talk to her, because they wouldn't do it if somebody wasn't falling for it. So we have to protect the people that don't know as much about the internet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that takes me on to, okay, well, you did get hacked. What advice do you give to somebody who's been hacked?
Yeah. My first advice would be immediately change all your passwords, all of them.
Yeah. And following up on that, sign out of devices that you're automatically signed into, especially with social, because if you don't sign them out, they still have access.
Yeah. And I would immediately alert whoever it is, if it's Facebook, if it's your bank, whatever, because I feel like the faster that you are able to report those things, probably the better your chances are going to be of recovering it. Because once somebody's had access to your account for a long time, it's going to look like you're the person that's the fake when you report it.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah, don't stay quiet because even with us, it's kind of embarrassing when we get hacked because we know a lot of the tricks, but it happens and you need to deal with it and address it. And I would even also say, tell your close friends, like if you get something from me,
Yeah.
heads up.
Another thing that I have noticed, and this is also with people that don't know as much about the internet. So you know how sometimes people will spoof your profile. They'll create a profile and they'll say they're you and they'll put your picture as their profile picture and they'll start friending your friends. That does not mean you've been hacked. Nobody's got access to your account when they're doing that, or they would just be doing it from your account. So I see people freak out all the time because somebody is pretending to be them and they're like, I don't know how I got hacked. I'm changing all my passwords. I'm doing all this.
Right.
It's like, those people don't have your password. They're just pretending to be you. You need to report them and you need to get all of your friends and family to report them.
And nobody's immune to that as much as what we do. I was actually talking to a client and she was she was putting me onto her account and she's like, which one do I choose? And I was like, what do you mean? Which one do you choose? And sure enough, I had been cloned. I had to get Becky to help me out and look at it and like, tell me what you're seeing. And sure enough, I had been cloned. And I mean, we took care of it and got rid of it, but you feel violated, even though you've done nothing wrong. It's the world we live in, sadly.
I got cloned one time and I'm thinking, what is this fake Becky telling other people in messages? Because probably stuff the real Becky would never say. And I don't want people thinking that's me.
For sure. For sure. I had a sweet friend and I still have that sweet friend. Anyway, and somebody was sending out dirty stuff from her and she was just mortified and embarrassed and just, bless her heart. It really threw her for a loop and, you just can't help it. But all of us who know her know she would never do that. But it's still embarrassing and kind of humiliating. So it happens. It's sad, but it happens.
When you have a really popular account, also, you tend to get cloned a lot. So we have a client right now who has a really large following on TikTok. And now there are 2 other accounts that are getting really large followings that are just using all of her stuff and pretending to be her. And so the advice that I gave her was to very sweetly, not viciously, to make a video for her TikTok warning people that there are people out there pretending to be her that are not her, and that the only official account that they should follow is, and then spell it out. That way they can't take this video and use it on theirs, saying they're the real account, because it spells out the actual name of the account and how it's written at, BECKY, whatever. So that people know, hey, those people over there are getting thousands of views and making money off of content that she is producing. And that's not cool. And she reported them, but as of right now, they're still up.
So frustrating. And nothing moves as fast as we'd like it to. Sadly, I want to message and say, take it down right this second. And it's not going to happen that quickly. Sadly.
I would even go as far as replying to some of those videos if it were me personally. A video that I made saying, this is the real me.
That's a good idea too. I get paranoid too about where I log in. And I've started using a VPN. And to me, it was worth the money just for peace of mind, because I didn't want to go anywhere if I wasn't on a trusted Wi-Fi. So that's another way you can kind of protect yourself.
Right. Like if you're at the library, you're at Starbucks working and you don't want to leave yourself open.
Yeah. And let's face it, it's nice to have change of scenery sometimes.
And not an ad, not sponsored, but would like to be. It's a lot harder to get viruses and stuff on Macs than it is on a PC. So if you are really having trouble with that, then maybe look into getting a Mac. I've never had a virus on my Mac. I will say the one downside to a Mac is if you're a gamer, you're in trouble because they don't make half the games for Mac that they do for PC. But if you're not a gamer and you're just using it for work or other stuff, then highly recommend.
Man, I love it. Well, then you just need 2. You need one for games and one for everything else.
Would you please tell my husband that? Because I would like to have one for games.
Okay, we'll tell him for your birthday. That's what you need.
Wheat.
That's funny. That's funny. I was kind of doing a little research looking around, and I found quite a few articles where hackers have a sense of humor. So I thought that was funny. I mean, let's be clear, it's criminal activity. We're not promoting hacking, but sometimes it's kind of funny. And I thought a couple of these examples were really good. And one of them was somebody hacked into a whole bunch of printers. There's one model of printer, and it's thousands of homes have them, thousands of businesses, whatever. And the hacker name was Stack Overflowing. And it said they sent this to all these printers and got it to print. Stack Overflowing has returned to his glory. Your printer is part of a flaming botnet. The hacker god has returned from the dead. Your printer has been owned. And all these printers spit all of that out. But the dude's point was, you have an unsecured printer and you need to secure your network. So like he could have done something bad, but he was really just saying, you're vulnerable to cyber criminal activity. But I thought that was really funny. He was being helpful.
I don't know.
I mean, he was trying to be nice, but I mean, are we promoting this? No, but I thought it was funny. And then there was another one. This is from 2014. So this is not a new thing. It just feels like all of a sudden we're getting inundated with hacking everywhere. But somebody hacked a traffic sign in San Francisco, and it was one of those electronic displays. And it was on Van Ness Avenue, which I don't know if that plays in or not, but it was flashing Godzilla attack, turn back. And, I mean, there was not an attack. There was obviously not Godzilla, but anyway, there was nothing going on. But they
Are you sure?
Well, maybe not. It was San Francisco, but they managed to access parts of San Francisco's traffic alert system, and most people thought it was funny, but I think it did cause a lot of traffic issues. And it said, where I read it, said Homeland Security was slightly less amused, but that was funny. But I mean, so that was just a traffic sign, but hacking's everywhere.
Yes.
Crazy.
And that makes me think of too, talking about hacking into printers and traffic signs. People with baby monitors have to be super careful because there are ways for people to hack into certain baby monitors and be able to see inside of your home.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to use all of the precautions unless you want everybody to be able to see inside your kid's room. And I'm sure you do not.
Oh man, so much bad can go wrong with that. So much. Talk about feeling violated in your baby's room.
Yeah, I read an article about a woman hearing adult voices in her kid's room and freaking out and going in there, and it was coming from the baby monitor, like somebody else was talking to the kid.
Mm-mm.
And that would freak me out.
Oh my
We
goodness.
never used baby monitors because we were those awful people that just had the baby bed in our bedroom. But if I used one, I would be online looking up every tip and trick to keep that thing secure that is available.
Well, what happened to old school? Like we just had the ones that were just speakers, like we didn't have the video camera and all that. And yeah, that's great to see your kid, but we overkill some things. There's the rare circumstance when you need to see your kid if they had issues or things like that. But goodness, we complicate everything. But man, so there was another one too. This one is funny. In Vegas, there was a fish tank that was used to hack into the casino's computer. And the fish tank was connected to the internet because it had sensors monitoring like temperature, food, how clean it was, like all that kind of stuff. And they used the fish tank to hack into the network and steal the information.
Wow.
Like these people are crazy. They'll do anything. Like how random is that?
And there are hackers that are known for like social justice hackers that hack into different corporations or into government files and make things public that they feel should be public. And that is super illegal, but also they feel like they're doing the right thing. So it's kind of like vigilante hackers.
Yeah, true.
So there's those that are trying to steal your money, and then there's those that think they're trying to protect you. And I love that then the government sometimes hires these hackers to help them make everything more secure. Like, help us try to hack this and see if you can, so we know if we're doing a good job or not.
Use your powers for good.
Yes. If you're a hacker listening to this, use your powers for good, not evil. Become a cybersecurity person.
No kidding. No kidding.
There's money in that. You could do that.
Absolutely.
Instead of ripping off somebody's grandma, you could just become a cybersecurity expert, and that would be great.
Right? My goodness.
Well, I think now is a good time to bring in Caryn and get her thoughts, because I know she has thoughts because I can see her face.
Hey guys, I'm Caryn with Social U, and it's been killing me to stay quiet.
I can tell.
I cannot express to you how many requests we get for assistance with Facebook page recovery. I have at least 10 pending messages I haven't even had a chance to check. I have 3 cases that are in process right now, and I have 4 queued up ready to go. It takes weeks and weeks. It takes hours of our time. We charge $100 an hour for recovery because it takes so long to do it and it's so labor intensive. The best offense is a good defense. For the love of Pete and all the Tully, update your Facebook password. The first thing you can do is use an email that's unique, that you don't use anywhere else. Second thing you can do, you need a password sneeze, like Becky was talking about, where it's this, my password for Facebook is 24 characters. And I change it every 30 to 60 days. Drives my team crazy, but we have to. And we have a 2-step verification. So if anybody logs in, I immediately get a notification and you have to have a code to move forward. Just by turning that step on, you're adding another layer of security. And I don't remember the stats off the top of my head, but going from a word with a number to a word with uppercase and lowercase and a special character and a number, the hacking time goes from something like 3 hours to 3 days. Hackers will move on and go to somebody who's easier. And I have seen some of the most clever spoofs. I don't know who's doing it, but GoDaddy has, I've gotten 2 emails. They look exactly like they're from GoDaddy. The formatting, email, it's very tempting to click. I got to tell you.
Probably the logo too, right?
Oh yeah. Logo, and the only thing different is e.godaddy. So I immediately check the email address and it says, warning, spam. I constantly get emails from GoDaddy that say, because I have multiple URLs that we renew all the time and multiple emails, it's time to renew, or this is your renewal charge for May or your renewal charge for this year. Very normal emails. And so it's normal to get one every month. You just have to, man, those spoofs are so good. But yeah, there's a lot of hacking going on now.
There's usually going to be a tiny difference in the email it's coming from, and it'll be something that is so small that it's hard to notice. But if anything's asking you for information, you've got to check those emails. And if you ever get a text asking you for a code,
it's not real.
If somebody's trying to sell you something on Facebook Marketplace and they say, hey, send me this code so I know you're real, they're trying to get into something that requires a code from you instead of a password, and they are hacking you. Please do not do that. Facebook Marketplace has been seeing that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nope.
It's fake. Yeah. My mom's finally gotten to the point now where she will send it to me first and ask me, is this real? Thank goodness. Because we have a friend, we have a client we work with whose mother-in-law was scammed out of like $25,000. It was big enough that it was featured in the news. It happens more than you think.
You know, another thing to look for in emails is grammar. Most of those hackers have bad grammar.
True. The good ones don't.
No, the good ones don't, but the easier to spot ones do.
Yeah, if it's coming from another country and it's very broken English, I would be very wary.
If it asks about your teeth or feet, might not be real.
Always got to work in teeth or feet.
How many times have adult have pretty teeth on Facebook? Thank you so much. Like,
I'm just saying, I have tiny feet. I'm a prize.
I can give you those tiny feet all the way to the bank.
Oh my goodness. You should. Oh my goodness.
So our social media this week, and this has been going on for a few weeks, but I know Caryn has really been following this and wanted to talk about this, is Ruby Franke, YouTube influencer turned child abuser inmate.
Right now, there's a lot of information online about taking advantage of childhood stars like Honey Boo Boo from Here Comes Honey Boo Boo. Her mom blew through millions of her dollars. The special that's on HBO, Quiet on the Set, bringing attention to the Nickelodeon. And in the middle of all this is the Ruby Franke case. She is a mom influencer. This makes me upset. And I've watched enough clips to know that I can't watch the whole thing or I'll probably lose my mind. This woman abused her children so terribly and was only caught after her, I think he was 11, let's say close to 10, who had been chained up in a room, escaped and ran to the neighbors. And the adult man who found him broke down in tears on the 911 call because this kid was in such bad shape, undernourished, underdeveloped. It was not good, not a good situation. When the police went to check the house, they found his sister who was sitting by her. She wasn't chained to anything, but I don't think she was chained to anything, but she was
in a closet, I think.
In a closet, big room, but by herself. She had her head shaved as a punishment. So doing these, first and foremost, not everybody is going to be a massive abuser. There are scales of abuse online from parents. I'm a firm believer your parents should not be your first bully. And then there is a video circulating on TikTok. It's a little girl and her dad. They're in public. She was so excited. She went and got cotton candy and she's sharing it with him. And it's in a shape so they can both take a bite from either side. Big piece of cotton candy. And she leans over and he takes his hands and smushes it. And just starts literally laughing in her face. And her face, she went from so excited to just almost tears. And she didn't know what to do because he was laughing and they're filming it. And she's looking at the camera and she's looking at her dad. And come on.
It's heartbreaking.
It was heartbreaking. And I know it's not a big deal. It's cotton candy. But that's just one little tiny incident that happened to be filmed. What else is happening?
Right. Doing it for the views. The views are more important than the child's feelings.
Yep.
I'm going to say I get more upset and sad when my kid gets embarrassed than if they break their arm. If my kid is running and falls and gets hurt, I hate that. But if my kid gets embarrassed, it breaks my heart.
Agreed.
I will do everything I can to keep my kid from getting embarrassed.
Yes.
And I just cannot imagine.
There's a video now on TikTok. It's been on TikTok for a minute. They're interviewing parents, mothers in particular, and they're asking, would you kill for your kid? And there's this whole series of women at the beginning that are like, oh, no. And then there's a series of women at the end that are like, in a heartbeat, 100%. And then in the third camp that I might be a part of, I wouldn't only kill for my kid, I'd kill for your kid. Mm-hmm. There is an 8-year-old girl who has an eating disorder who's talking about it online, and she's getting a ton of coverage. It's bringing a very positive light to the specific topic. I appreciate that she's getting the help she needs. Does her struggle need to be monitored? Absolutely. Does it need to be recorded? Probably. Does it need to be publicized? Probably not.
We have to think when she's 8, she's okay with this. What is she going to feel like when she's 18? Is she going to be okay with the fact that all of that is available to anybody that wants to watch it?
These poor kids at some point are going to want jobs. Can you imagine the director of HR pulling up a video where you're starting your first menstrual cycle and your mom recorded it and put it online?
I was just upset. My mom called my grandma. Don't make a video and put it online, please.
Yeah, there's things I don't want publicized about my life.
I have a kid that people think that I don't love because I never post pictures of her and I post pictures of my other children. But it is 100% her choice. She doesn't like having her picture made. She doesn't want to be in pictures.
And I love that you're respectful of that. And she's old enough to make that decision. I had made my child a little crazy. He got a little bit of my crazy on him. But because of what I do, he is very anti-social media. He will look but not participate. He's a lurker because he understands that's forever. It can get you in trouble. But to his credit, he's been always super cautious because of the stuff he hears me talk about.
Yeah. Just so everybody knows, I do love all of my children equally. And Sometimes she will agree to family pictures. If we're getting a group shot, she'll be in the group shot. But
I'd like to add a disclaimer that I love all of my children equally.
I feel like people are constantly being like, well, where is this one at? Where's that one at? And they think that I'm leaving them out or that I'm only taking pictures of the little kids because they're young and cute and the teenagers are like grown. And it's absolutely not that.
Yeah, I love telling people about our special unicorn that is Becky. Love it. I mention her frequently when we are talking to clients and colleagues because she is so unique. It is just, she sounds like, honest to goodness, sounds like I made her up. Because I'll be talking to somebody like, oh, Becky taught herself how to roller skate. Yeah, Becky knows how to do that. Becky's teaching herself Spanish. Becky has 9 children.
She's also had really fun, interesting jobs.
Becky's a cosmetologist. Becky apparently doesn't sleep ever.
And what's funny is I feel like I sleep a whole lot because
You do, Becky.
to maintain all those things requires a lot of energy.
Yeah, I don't know. You get it all done too. Nothing flusters Becky.
Yeah. She is the most laid back human being I've ever encountered. She doesn't get stressed out. She just rolls with punches.
I have our social media hotline of the week.
Social media. Want to post an event. Okay. What day is it on? You don't know. Okay. Where is it? You don't know. Okay. What's it going to be? You still don't know. Okay. Gonna need those details to post that event. Okay. Okay. Go. Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, it's the keyboard ASMR for me.
Indeed.
As the person who has to answer all of the weird questions about the upcoming event, we can't just put up a teaser and a save the date.
Because then immediately the questions start coming in and you look like you are not prepared at all. When they're like, oh, you got to save the date for April 29th. Well, what time is it going to be? Don't know. Where's it going to be? Don't know. Who's going to be there? No idea. It's like, are you actually having an event?
Also, the more you post events like that, people are just be like, yeah, whatever, and move on. They quit asking because they're bored. And frankly, they know they're beating a dead horse because you're not going to tell them.
And listen, our advice is not wait until 3 days before the event when you know everything to post it. We're saying know the stuff in advance so that you have enough time to post it. Know all things that are going to be going on and all the logistics in advance.
But it works the other way too. Like you can announce it too early. If it's an event where it's like a sale or you have to make an appointment to be there versus you just come and go. If you announce it too early, people won't remember it. People online will only stay excited for this long. So if you start it 8 weeks in advance, 4 weeks before the event, they're over it.
Plus, if it's a sale and you started 8 weeks in advance, I'm going to say, I'm not going to order anything until then. And you're going to screw your sales big time.
You're sandbagging. Yep. So there's a fine line. And it works both ways. We have customers who are like, I have a sales event that you're by appointment only. We want to announce it now for fall. No, you do not. And then you have these massive events that are going to have thousands of attendees and they want to announce it 2 days beforehand and wonder why the ticket sales are bad.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Pre-selling tickets is very different than making an appointment where people might or might not show up to make the sale. Very different.
Yep. It depends on the situation a bit, but man, common sense goes a long way.
What is that?
Our Sippin Social Tea this week was one of the funniest ones I have ever seen. And y'all are probably going to recognize it as soon as I start to read it. But it says, after I finished a social media presentation to my CEO, they asked, why don't you add Monaco's to make the content more fun? I asked what they meant. They were like, you're in charge of social media, but you don't know what Monaco's are? After they yelled at me some more, I asked them to show me what a Monaco was. They meant emojis.
I've not seen that one.
I'm thinking that somebody had heard the word emoticon and was trying to say emoticon, but then it got changed to Monaco. And then they think that she's so dumb because she doesn't know what a Monaco is. Please go check out Sippin Social Tea. We don't get to read on here a fifth of what they post. So you should go check them out. They're really hilarious.
It's so good. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. Okay, I'm going to start calling Monaco's. What about some Monaco's with that post?
We were at the beach one time, at the lake beach, not a real beach, lake beach. And there was a lady and her kid or grandkid was out in the water and she started yelling at him. And she said, "Get back over here, boy. You ain't got your swim flugels on. You got to get your swim flugels on." Flugel is a name brand. I did not know this at the time. Flugel is a name brand for like water wings and stuff. But from then on, now in my family, water wings are swim flugels. And that is all we will call them.
I love that.
All emojis are Monaco's.
I love that. I'm using that too. That's a good one.
That's awesome.
So next week, we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of remote work. What is cool and what is not so cool about being able to work remotely. So make sure you come back for that because we're going to have some stuff you expect and probably some spicy takes. So come back.
Thanks for listening to the Social U podcast, sponsored by Social University. We'll see you next week.